means that everything is working great. I've also showed up with no topics, so I'm really hoping you guys have brought some stuff tech related. I've got a house full of people. My Mexican family showed up last 2 in the morning, so I might also sound a little sleepy too. But Yuya's here, my daughter Bibiana's here, my mother-in-law's here, and a friend of the family, Valeria, my child Emily's best friend, has decided to join them for the month here in Alaska. So we've got a full house at my house. We went from just Emily and myself to 6 people.
Cool. And were their flights fine?
Yes, just late. Just late. We did their flights on the night of July 4th, and apparently they weren't the only ones saving a nickel by going on July 4th. It was full up. Oh, and I'm realizing after my reinstalls, I still have some quirky things to sort out in my presentation. But how's it going? Who's got a tech topic they'd like to talk about this morning? Don't all jump at once. It's hard to understand you when you're talking on top of each other. I just got an email from a Mexican Linux group that I'm part of that does a similar kind of meeting and presentation kind of. And the dude that's been doing it for a couple of years, he sent an email out to me and a handful of other people asking if we'd like to take it over. And I don't know if I have the time to do another meeting like this. I mean, be in charge of it. Not to mention it's all in Spanish. That adds a whole new dynamic to it. What have you been up to, Paul? I finally got your picture out to the group.
Yeah, I was wondering if Cheryl's enjoying her breakfast there.
Well, last week you put it in the Dropbox, and I opened it in the Dropbox, and when I turned on my Google Meet this morning, it was there. So I don't know if it's permanently there or if I have any choice over the matter, but it looks like I'm always going to be on Google Meet in Tequilas.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait,
so
you said Dropbox, but you mean the in-message chat, right? Yeah.
Correct.
And it should never always be there. You know, that stuff just disappears, but maybe where it is in your downloads. Good morning, Pop. Morning, Linda. Boy, I like your background, Dad. You're running with the horses.
How come we can't see you, Dad? Oh, there's Terry. Oh, sorry.
Good morning.
You must be in Chick.
Chico.
Yeah,
Not
that's
sure
where the
where that
horses run.
Well,
In
good morning,
Virginia.
everybody.
good morning. We're just getting started, and I was telling to the group that I've showed up vacant for topics, so any tech topics are welcome. Okay, now any topics are welcome.
I have a question about that. We talked before about the overhead surveillance system, or I'm not sure what they called it, a scanner in San Carlos, on the entrance to San Carlos.
The security arch. Un
Right,
arco
the
de
security
seguridad.
arch. I saw a report on either Viva or something about they were using it this past weekend for the long weekend, and your cell phone was jammed. You couldn't receive messages or send texts or make phone calls while you were in the area of it.
Yeah.
I read that too.
You said they don't have the arch up? Because they're reading on the board that it's up and it was inadvertently
No,
jamming.
it didn't mention the arch. It just said when
what are
you
we
were
talking
in
about?
line waiting to be scanned. I didn't read that the arch was part of that at all. I just read that If
Okay,
you were in
thank
line
you.
waiting to go into
Yeah.
or out of San Carlos, they were jamming cell phone signals.
Well, that's not part of the arch then. Yuya says they haven't even built the arch yet.
No.
No,
I
but
understand that they had literally miles and miles of people stacked up trying to get through this search that was going on by all the different police entities in Mexico.
It wasn't a search. It was a what do they call that when they have that every time they put up the, what is
Check
it
stop.
called, Scott, when they do that?
Stop. Check stop.
What?
yeah, a retention where they're checking
Yeah,
every
or
car.
Yeah.
But you're
Screening
saying,
cars.
but you're saying that they were jamming cell phone signals at that time, so people couldn't use their phones.
That's what Viva said. Viva said.
Well,
I think they probably did that because they didn't want.
do you think they did it intentionally, or maybe it was just the result
they
of
did
having
it
so many
intentionally
cell
so that
phones jammed
Any
up?
bad guys that were in line wouldn't know what's going on and could get out of the line and go back.
But
So,
I'm curious
I think
if we have confirmation that that was an intentional practice or the fallout of what they were doing, bringing all those cell phones into one cell at the same time. I'll tell you about a tech topic I have. My cell phone service has not worked since tourist season has started around here. And I'm convinced that it's because we have lower priority on the cell network and we're overwhelmed with, because Alaska gets tens of thousands of people a day tromping through these areas doing, we'll have 1 million people come through Alaska this season easily. And I'm convinced that at the beginning of May, when we first got here, it wasn't jammed up and I could make phone calls. It's very bizarre because I've got data anywhere in the city. I can use WhatsApp. I can surf the internet. I can send text messages, SMS, as well as Facebook Messenger. I can surf. I can do Google searches. But I absolutely cannot make or receive an audio telephone call. And when I first got here, I could, and then I watched it peter out over a few days as we dipped into the tourist season. It would become more and more difficult to make a phone call until now it's just impossible to try and make or receive a phone.
Can you make a phone call?
No, Yuya just got here last night. She hasn't tried.
I know.
But Emily can't make a phone call either. She's got cell service
okay.
and it's behaving exactly the same way with me.
Mm.
And I really think that it has to do with contracts, inter-carrier contracts, and the way that they assign priority to calls. And I think we're just overwhelming ourselves with all the tourism. And we're low man on the totem pole as far as being able to make an audio call. And I wonder if, because I'm thinking like this, I wonder if it wasn't a similar situation if they were going to stop that many cars all at once. All those cars' cells would be on the same cell in that area, because where else would they be connected except for the exact same cell? Kind of like a music festival where they're just overwhelming one cell. I'd like to know if that was intentional or if that was fallout.
I take bets it was very intentional.
You think it was intentional, Dave?
There is tons of police presence in San Carlos. There have been multiple cartel events that you have not heard about. For instance, Lomas del Mar, just south of Loma del Mar, that little development.
Yes.
And they basically machine gunned it. Nobody hurt, fortunately. That road between there and the next right angle turn, I know multiple people who have been stopped by the cartel. Watch out. The
Where is
restaurant
that?
supposedly,
Where was that?
one of the rumors from a pretty good source, but I still say it's a rumor, is that there was a guy who went around who was part of the cartel, but he went to all the restaurants and tried to get a bribe. Unfortunately, he wasn't doing it for the cartel. He was doing it for himself. So the rumor is He no longer exists. But anyway, multiple restaurants are closed and multiples have been destroyed.
Well, I just heard it's Bartina's is closed, and that Ma'ukao, whatever it's called, which was I heard a lot of drugs were in that place. So those two were closed.
Did you
Well-
see the owner's public statement about them closing? The general manager had come onto Twitter and said they were closing because of the insecurities. They used language like that.
Exactly.
Then-
And the
Exactly.
Captain's Club closed.
And then
What?
a day or so later, there was a public statement from the owner. I can't pronounce the name of the bar. What is that name again? Makwa?
Maka'a or Maka'a.
Makaha Beach.
Makaha Beach. So there was a public statement from the owner saying, no, we're closing for renovations. They had a whole diatribe on closing for renovations. Like, okay, you can call it whatever you want. You can.
But
A
part of
good
their
thing-
renovation is avoiding bribes that are being solicited, trying to get to all the restaurants and scaring people.
I was thinking they might have been beefing up their security and putting bouncers and making deals.
For instance, the other day I was sitting at Tequila's and having breakfast. Have you ever seen 5 police cars in a row drive very, very slowly by, go up to that circle, come back to the main circle, go up to that circle a second time, come back to that main circle, and when I left 15 minutes later, there was a complete roadblock on Beltronas in front of Jack's Snacks. And this is not just our local municipal police. They've called in everyone, state, federalities. There's
We've
been
been-
an appeal. Governor, our neighborhood has some very wealthy people who have been communicating through the homeowners app of some of this stuff going on. And it's kind of interesting. It's all cartel regulated. And yes, I'm sure that stopped. You saw the picture. That was probably very, very deliberate because the word was they were trying to block people from being able to notify anyone that there was this blockage going on in the middle of town.
Well, that's interesting. That's yeah, it would sure be interesting to find. I mean, it sounds like it's still rumor. It sounds like pretty well speculated rumor, but it'd be nice to have a confirmation that that was their practice, is they were going to block the town and jam cell phones so that they couldn't communicate. It sounds feasible to me. I'd just be curious if that's because, the we still don't have the security arch, which everybody kind of trade. My Mexican family talks about it like it's a fantasy, like they're like that'll never happen.
How about
But
the
I
young
have
man?
some-
How
I
about
have
the young
some-
man that was killed in Star Marine?
Well, thank you,
Couple days
Chester.
ago.
Yeah, you had told me about that, but didn't have much details. What do you know?
Well, there was a young man. He was going to meet his girlfriend at Hammerheads for dinner, and someone came along and shot him up in his car right there in front of Star Marine parking.
Yeah.
That's all I know. They didn't know who did it, but everybody or people in Hammerhead that heard the shooting going on hit the deck.
I feel
I
like
would too.
we're in a limbo kind of state right now in San Carlos, as far as like we're not big enough for the government to get involved enough. If we were a Cancun or a Acapulco, you would think that the government would be cracking down hardcore in our area. And I don't know.
Same things going down there.
I think they are. I received a message through our homeowners app that basically this person appealing directly to the governor's personal email who confirmed, yes, we are sending lots of people, not just the locals to help out.
I like also the idea of the restaurant shutting down. I've been going over this in my head, and I don't know how we get out of this downward spiral. We have not had enough enforcement to make sure the laws are followed, and it's like the criminals have woken up to this, and so now they're just running rampant across our towns. And I like the
Well, you
idea
know
of shutting
something?
down businesses, kind of squeezing that stuff that they've come to the town for, that the clubs, the restaurants, access to the beaches, just making it a little more painful to have fun in our town might be the solution. I'm
Well,
sorry,
you
Linda,
know
you were
what?
just...
I was there a few weeks ago, and it happened to be on the weekend. It is absolutely horrible there. I really felt awful after living there all those years. And, you know, they almost need a light at the corner of both corners because nobody stops at the corners, and there's so much traffic. You just take your life in your hands, you know, going out on the street, especially there by Santa Rosa and up at the other corner. I mean, they could really use a light because nobody obeys the stop signs, but there's so many people there. It was incredible to me.
Yeah, basically the gringos here do not go out to the restaurants at all on the weekends. It's just too crowded around town. You know, it's okay for lunch, kind of. It's still pretty crowded, but dinner just is a no-no for multiple reasons, not just the traffic, but the danger is far more prevalent in the evenings.
Well, in the
Well, you
part...
know, up at Four Corners up there, and they have so many tents with food in them. And the cars are parked everywhere. And that new hotel that opens, they don't even have any parking.
Oh, I thought they had
So-
parking
Yes,
underneath
they
there.
do. Yes, they
The
do.
parking is all blocked off. When I was over there, when I was there a couple of weeks ago, I went by there. They have all those openings where the parking is underneath. It's all blocked off.
That hotel is not open yet. Only the little store on the first floor is open.
Oh, I thought that hotel was open.
There's
But
no
no,
parking
it's
for the
everywhere.
store. There's no parking for the store.
And Linda, it was like that in April, in March. It's been like that. It's been like the traffic has been there. It's like spring break every weekend.
Yeah. Well, you could see from that lineup of the cars coming into town.
What about partying noise? I know that this year is the first year that we've complained about noise out in the Ranchito. We live in the Ranchitos. It's a ghost town. We almost don't have street lights. And before I left, it was every weekend until late into the night. We're listening to partying noise coming. Like one night they rented a house right behind my house. I had music coming into my bathroom like the band was in the bathroom.
But something good. Number one, the crime is not as bad as it is up here in the States. That's really good. And then number two, they're paving the Loma Del Mar Road by the Six beer store.
Oh, they are. Oh, that's
They are?
awesome. That's awesome.
That's what our board chair sent out an email and told us.
They're paving it.
Paving with a paver.
I hope
with
I hope that
machine.
happens.
It's supposed to be happening right now.
What we need is a balancing of cartel power so that everything will just operate smoothly. That we need the government to come in and make things really difficult and then make a deal with them to behave in a certain way so that it doesn't disrupt tourism in our area.
Yeah.
Right now it feels like it's just out of control.
It's out of control because there's 3 competing cartels now, not just 2 in the area.
Do you know which 3, Dave? I wouldn't even be able to name them.
I'm in the same category. I tune it out deliberately. I go, okay, that's all I need to know.
There is definitely something to be said for having too much information. You learn that from the journalists. You know, nobody wants to be a journalist in Mexico right now. They're the 3rd biggest group to get assassinated. I mean, outside of military and cartel people.
Yeah, you know, if I was really, really stupid and brave, I'd go 2 doors down, knock on the cartel house, who, by the way, the homeowners association says, we know you have weapons. Would you please keep them out of sight? Anyway, and ask them. But I'm, you know, everyone in this neighborhood just leaves the 3 homes that we know about, definitely our cartel, alone. And they do the same.
Well, has there been any more experiences with young girls going missing? That's really what's been bothering us the most the last 6 months. 16 to 19-year-old girls.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anything.
That for me?
In Wyoming?
Would you mind giving me
In
more
Wyoming?
coffee? Okay, just get rid of that.
I think that's
Some
primarily
coffee made.
Wineless and Palmy.
Aw,
and
that's
Palmy.
cute.
So Scott, you asked us if we've heard anything more about that. You are the only person that's ever shared anything like that with us personally.
Has there been
I've
any
never-
more girls going missing? Yuya's shaking her head at me, saying yes, it's absolutely a problem still. I'm trying to get this on camera. She's brought this to me. My new Yeti cup. Can you guys see that?
Is that a birthday present? A late birthday present?
It must be. There we
No,
go.
like I was,
That's the one.
you mentioned it to us the one time, and we've never seen anything anywhere. But we don't read the newspaper, mainly because it's in Spanish, and I go to Viva, and a lot of times people will translate it for us.
It's really difficult. I think that if I was a journalist, I'd be very sensitive around these areas because all you can do is get yourself in trouble. You can't. There is law enforcement is not going to do more than they're already doing, and they've just. I'm only aware of 2 girls getting away. Yuya, when was the last time a girl disappeared? He's saying a couple of days before they came up here, just a couple of days ago. They were in Phoenix for a little while, so just before coming up here, another girl had gone missing. And
I have a question for Yuya.
say again?
I have a question for Yuya.
Oh yeah, she can't hear you because I've got my headphones in. What's the
That's
question?
okay.
I'll relay it to her.
Ask her if she can enlighten us on this RFC number.
Oh, wow. You might have to sit down for computer club. Everybody wants to know what's going on with the RFC number. Above the sink. Did you hear me? She's coming. I'm going to have to give her an earphone.
Yeah.
She's got all the information. She's been helping people with it for a few weeks now. From what I heard, everyone that has a temporary or permanent has to have an RFC number.
Okay, so these RFC numbers, I printed my CURP papers.
Okay.
You can go in and print your CURP number, and then so I guess the RFC numbers that are on your driver's license and all this other.
Well, your CURP is slightly different. It's made of the same information, but it is a different number.
Correct, but it says you need a CURP number to get the RFC number.
I'm going to give you
And it said to print your CURP
you can
paper,
sit
so
right
I went
here with
in and
me if you
found it.
want. Hold on, we'll get the expert on here.
I'm here. Hi, everybody. Sorry about the
Hi, Yuya.
face. I'm just coming out of a plane. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Good to see you.
You all, let me see who they are in there. Ah, Cheryl's there. Hi. Oh, Chester. Oh, Linda's there too. Hi, Linda. Terry's there? Terry's there.
Yeah,
too.
Dad's
Oh.
upstairs connected.
Oh, that is cool.
Good morning, Yuya.
Good morning, Terry. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad you made it.
I made it. Oh,
She hasn't made it over to the other house to
Yeah.
see Dad in person yet. So this is.
it's been crazy. I was, crazy. So anyway, you guys, everybody who has either a temporary or resident car in Mexico, and they have bank accounts, they have houses over there, the government is required for them to have the RFC, which is your tax ID number, which is different from your corp. Your CURP is your national number. So RFC is like your ITIN for like people who lives in the US and they're not resident, they're not citizens of the US. You need to have an ITIN number.
I bet none of our group actually knows what the ITIN number is, but it's.
I do.
Okay,
You do?
Cheryl does.
Okay, Cheryl does.
I
I have an ITIN
International-
number for file taxes with God.
International tax number, an
That's
ITN.
Yeah.
It's because we've had some winnings in the gambling department, and we have to declare we have to file a tax return. We're not U.S. citizens. We don't work in the United States. So our international tax number is so we can file a tax proving that we don't have any other income, and then the withdrawal of the tax is then paid back to us. So
That's
international tax number we have.
That is correct. So the RFC is for
Taxes.
for taxes. It's for taxes. But you guys, since for retirement community, there is a specific RFC that needs to file for with not economic.
Well, you're not making money.
You're
You're not
making
working.
any money. And not working in there, but you do still need to have it. Banks already have a bank account in Mexico. Banks are going to start requiring it. The 1st of July was the deadline to get it, but it's been so crazy right now that they don't SAT, which is like the IRS, but in Mexico, SAT is overwhelming with this. They don't have appointments. So now what we've been doing over there is we register you for RFC. We pre-register you, and then that we wait for an appointment. So now the date, the deadline, the date, it's until September next, where you can have your RFC. And that is just to have it, the bank, if you have a bank account, they're going to start asking for it. If you don't provide one, they're going to close your bank account.
Wow.
They'll get one. And if any transaction like selling your house, like getting a driver's license, like renewing anything, is going to require for you to RFC.
So, Yuya,
Yes,
they are not requiring this until September of 2023.
that is correct. They
Okay.
increase the deadline
They
because
postponed it.
because it's
Right.
you see I have like 10 people already and I find
Right.
appointments for them. I only pre-register
And
them.
what kind of a date, if I would register now, have you register for me, what kind of a date would I possibly get before I had an appointment?
Oh, I'm sure not the early 2023. It's
Okay.
it is crazy right now. It is really crazy. They don't have appointments, and we've been trying to go over there, and she's outside SAT over there in Guaymas and see if we can get up, of course, but she's to make pressure and stuff like that. So I'm taking like 3-4 people, and which is side SAT and see they want an RFC and no appointments, stuff like that, but we cannot get.
What would happen if someone with an FNN wanted to buy a house?
They will require for you to have an RFC.
So you wouldn't be able to start the purchase without an RFC?
Okay, I have a question. My driver's license expires in December.
Hmm?
Okay, so I was thinking I was gonna go to Nogales to get it renewed, but that means I need an RFC number, correct?
Well, that's I told you, as they're not gonna require it yet.
Until September.
Until September. They like banks and like all of that, it's not requiring, like they're not getting really hard about it. Even if you're gonna go and get exchange US dollars into a bank, they ask you for your RFC now. They're like, you have an RFC? So they're getting really, really hard, but right now they're lenient. They're like, because they haven't they prolong it. The deadline is till September, so you can do all your transactions normal like as before. But once it comes, it's hard.
You know, the way you talk about this, it makes me feel like this might be Mexico's version of Real ID. The RFC might turn into this thing that's used to verify who you are. It's associated with biometrics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like they give you a encrypted certificate so that you can do your interactions online. They take your fingerprints. They take scans of your retinas.
No. They do that in case that you are gonna do business over there.
Oh, so this RFC, they don't have to do that?
No, they only give you a password and for you to get into their website and get your RFC.
But you don't need the encryption certificate.
You don't, because you are not a
Doing
business. You're not doing business. They're retired.
So,
Still required to have your RFC and be active.
so Yuya,
Yes.
what is the RFC number on my driver's license then?
You have it?
I read that it's not, yeah, there's an RFC number on my driver's license.
Yeah, correct.
Did you ever did it? Did you ever went and got it?
An RFC.
So that is the generic.
No,
maybe.
this was when I got my driver's license. There's an
Yeah.
RFC number on it.
Yeah, it is. It
Mine
is
too.
generic.
It's
it
filler.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it probably is generic. How many numbers it has? It has to have. Let's see.
I don't know.
It has to have 12 numbers. How many numbers it has?
I don't think that many.
Yeah, it
Are
could
you
just
looking
be
at it, Judy?
fill in the
No,
field
I don't have.
on the form.
I'll go get mine. Hold on, I'll go
It is-
get mine.
Sometimes they do generic. She's
Uh-huh.
they get it. But the last three numbers of your RFC is consist. It's a letter, a number, and another letter. Those are the ones that tells your economic. What is that you do? And so I bet yours is generic. I bet you don't have it. And if they do, how they got? When do you got your driver's license, Linda?
Well, I got mine 2 years ago.
And you don't remember going to SAT?
No, I went to the driver's license place.
It's generic. Like, made up.
I had
Well,
read that they were
The
just doing
RFC
that, but
was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 numbers.
13. Yeah, I bet.
Are a bunch of them zeros?
Yeah.
No,
hey,
No,
Linda,
Okay,
Linda,
can you see your
just said that
birthday
the
in it?
last three-
It's
yes,
but
You
My
see your
birthday's
birthday
in
in
it.
it?
the last three
yes.
numbers. The
The last three should be a
No, it
letter,
could
a
be-
number, a letter.
Linda, and it could be that I had a case of a girl, a lady too that said, I don't have it. I don't have my RFC. I want it. I need it because she was going to be part of an association, but in San Carlos. So we went to SAT, and she did have an RFC that it was that and like they did it for her like in 2006. So it could be that if you were part of an association before or something like that, that you already have an RFC and you don't know.
You're already in the
about it.
system
You're
and you're
already
not using it.
So she ended up giving it to her, printed it to them, to her, and like everything was fine. She could go ahead and keep doing the business she was supposed to do, but she wasn't gonna be able to any business have that the form. So we went there and we find out that she did, in effect, had an RFC already. That somebody has done it for her, like since 2016, and she didn't remember who did it, how that happened, or no, like that. Now her activity was not, not without any business in Mexico, so that she was okay. But so maybe that's the case with you guys. Remember something like that? Or?
The only thing I can think of, I got my license in 17 when I bought a Mexican car. And we had just the 6-month visas, and then we went for our permanente. And the last 3 numbers of my card is P25.
Okay.
Of her RFC.
So do you think that if I went someplace down in Nogales, they'd be able to tell me if this is my RFC number?
Yeah, but you need to go to SAT. The federal tax office for Mexico.
SAT.
SAT, and show it to them and say, I want my RFC to print out, and they will be able to tell you if that is a real
So do you
RFC.
think if I call the Mexican consulate in Nogales, they can tell me where that SAT office is?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's one in Nogales, but I'm not sure where it is.
So Yuya,
Yes.
I also have 13 numbers on my RFC,
Okay.
and the last is U17 or UI7 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I will do the same thing, Judy. I will,
Those don't sound like
Shit.
real numbers from your experience, those last
but maybe you guys already have it and you realize.
And see, I got mine in 2020, so my license is 2 years old.
Okay, but I bought a car, so do you think they gave that number to me when I bought the car?
It's weird because normally who assignated those numbers, it's SAT. And in order to do that, you needed to go to a SAT office. And you guys don't remember doing that, right?
Nope.
Yeah, that's what I think. Maybe the license plates or the car plates, because you need the RFC number in order to complete those things. Maybe they did a generic number right there.
Okay, so Yuya, you just helped Beverly get that car. Did she have to get an RFC number?
Yes. Everybody has to get it.
So she got the RFC number, Beverly?
Beverly. No, she hasn't yet.
She hasn't. She didn't have to get that in order to do the car
because-
transaction?
Because they've postponed the requirement until September, so it wasn't necessary. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Is this the office in
Okay.
Nogales, you think?
that is so.
This
I
is
see.
there. There is a. I just stuck the link in our document for SAT citas, which would be like trying to get a SAT appointment in Nogales. And if you scroll down that page, there's a map of where the Oficina SAT in Nogales is. There's also a phone number
Okay, do you
for.
think that's where the driver's license place is? Because my driver's license expires in December.
Oh,
It
I
would
don't
be
think
two
that is-
different
I
places.
two
I
different
wasn't going to
places.
be in San Carlos until January 15th. And I was thinking
But
if I could go to Nogales and get my driver's license
you
renewed.
probably still can, from what you're saying, right? Since they postponed the requirement, you probably can get it renewed.
And I don't know if you can do it in Nogales, because it's normally is in the the area where you driver's license. But maybe you can do it in Nogales. I'm not sure about that. I don't have an answer
don't
for
know.
that. No,
Okay.
it requires that
In-
you need to get it, the area that you have your house, because they do require, but
Yeah, in the
Maybe.
United States, it's very common for us to get our license. We can get it anywhere in the state we live. Like I could
Yeah.
go to Eagle River
Okay,
and get a license.
so I don't
while
have
still
an
living.
address I don't have an address anymore down there, so should I just use somebody's address?
no. You have an address already in your driver's license. That's the same one that they going. But they
Okay.
might require for you to provide a new utility bill. So I'm not sure.
That sounds like an odd situation, Linda. Because in the U.S. it'd be the same way. You'd have to
Uh-huh.
have an address of residence to
Yeah.
be a licensed driver for that state.
Well, I have several people that live in San Carlos that use my address here in Arizona.
The frustration will
10-minute
be
warning.
you'll have to provide proof of residence through like a receipt with your name on it. So like an electric
Why would you-
bill or a water bill would have to show and verify the address you're putting on your license.
Without property, why would you want a Mexican driver's license?
Used to have, right, Linda? You
Yeah,
used
you
to
just
have?
talking
Yeah, I
about
used to have it and I thought, why should I give it up? Just in case.
Are you in a U.S. car or a Mexican car?
US car. Now I don't have a Mexican car anymore. I sold it.
And I don't think you need to worry about it.
I don't think you need to worry
Oh, you
about it,
think-
Linda. Do you want it? That's
Well-
the reason you want to get it? Do you?
Should I just give it up?
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah. But you don't have to renew it.
Hey, I don't know if it makes you
Just
feel
let it
better about it,
expire?
but I've never had a Mexican license. I've been there over 25 years now.
Yep.
Well, do you have a Mexican car?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Oh,
But, you know, I have a Mexican wife, too.
Yeah.
It's her car.
yeah. So that's a different. When I had the car, they said I had to have the license. That's when I was wondering if they gave me this RFC
I'll be right
number
back, you
or
guys.
it's just a fake.
I thought you had an American car, not a Mexican car.
I had a Mexican car.
You don't have it now.
No, I traded it with somebody down in San Carlos. He's married to a Mexican and they bought it. We traded it.
Well, if you don't have it, why do you need a Mexican license at all?
And it just expired.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't need the license. You might even be able to renew it without having to go through any kind of verification of your current residency. You might be able to just go in and get it renewed since it's not expired. I would bet, though, it'd be a real challenge to get it renewed, or if you let it expire, you'd have to go through all the same hoops, I would imagine.
Yeah. So maybe I'll just let it go. And
But I
forget it.
agree with Chester. I don't see any reason you need to have it.
Well, I probably won't live there again. We'll just come and, we're just coming down there for a month or two.
Yeah, we'll let you know when it's safe to live down there again. Stop paying
Scott
in the
doesn't
ass.
have a license. Scott doesn't
Yeah,
have
when our-
a license because he's afraid he wouldn't pass the test.
I wouldn't pass the test. Thank you. There's, they don't do a driver's test. Are you criticizing my driving?
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't do a driver's
No,
test
you
in
have to have a
Wymus.
doctor's sign off.
As far as I know, you get
You guys
wherever
have
you're
any more
going without accident.
questions? I'm gonna go walk the. Do you guys have any more questions?
Can we
Yes.
get you to put
Yeah.
us on the RFC list?
What was that, Linda?
You need an
Can
appointment
you
with
put
you
us
yet?
on the RFC list?
Yeah, I can do that. I just need a
Okay.
picture of your permanente.
So if I
Thank
send
you.
you my
I have a-
permanente, you can,
But that's the other thing, Linda. I don't. You don't have a house over there, right? You don't have a house. You don't have.
no, I sold it.
Yeah.
So
I don't
do we
think-
need
I don't
it?
think if you don't
No.
want to. This is what I see. Tell my clients. This is what I tell if you're not gonna, if you think you're not gonna have any transactions at all in Mexico anymore, like purchase a house, like a bank account, driver's license, um, let's see, anything to do with government uh, issues, you don't need an RFC. You don't. But if you thinking on, coming, pushing a house, you do have a current bank account, you do need to renew a Mexican driver's license. You do need it because they're going to start requiring it.
The bank account's the big one, I would think. If you're using a
Yeah, I gave
Mexican
up my
bank,
bank
you're going to lose
account.
access to it without an RFC.
Or
No, I
if,
gave up my bank account. It's just, they said if you had a permanente, you had to get one.
Yeah.
well, no, if you don't have a
Yeah.
house over there, or you don't have a bank account, or you don't have a,
Oh,
It's
you
like,
don't
you
have.
don't have, you
I-
don't have to.
You don't have to get an RFC if you're getting a permanente.
Well, if you are in the process of getting a permanent residency or temporary residence, you do gonna need it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's make that very
I have
clear.
permanent.
You do gonna
Yeah.
if you are gonna get
If you've already got
if
it,
you already got it and you don't have any
bank account, property,
businesses
driver's
over there in
license,
Mexico,
business.
it has that you don't have to get it.
Because you've
forget about
already
it.
got
okay.
the permanente.
You already got a permanente. So
But what they're
Oh,
making
okay.
it a requirement
Okay.
if you go to file for a permanente now, you have to have the
yes,
RFC.
or if you already have your
Okay.
permanente or resident card, and you do have a house, you do have a bank account,
yeah.
you still active in Mexico, coming back and forward,
Okay.
and you have interest in Mexico. That's what the government wants to get a hold of it. Everybody who has interest in Mexico, that they have house, that they have bank accounts, they want to run all of that because of all the money laundering that is going on. That's what it is. It's
Okay.
about money laundering. And the government wants
Okay.
to really get a hold of you. When you get your RFC, this is the requirements to get an RFC. You need to have already a permanent or temporary resident card. You need to have email, your email, very important, your own personal email, and an address,
A verified
to
address.
a verified address. Those are the three
Okay.
requirements to get an RFC.
Okay.
Okay? With those three, which is with your email, you will be receiving monthly, monthly news from the government. That's the reason he require your email to receive monthly news from the government saying, checking your activity that you are really not having transactions in Mexico. That's what it is. They're really checking right now. Every transaction that you do, they're really right now. All the banks, you cannot deposit more than $500 in cash in the bank account without an RFC. If you don't have an RFC, you cannot deposit more than 500 cash. Okay. If you do it by a check or something like that, that's okay because they can track that down. But it's a cash. If you go and I want to deposit $500 in cash in my bank account, you can't if you don't have an RFC. So there is.
Julia, this is Paul.
Hi,
And now I
Paul.
have an FMM. Hi. How's
Hi.
my permanente
Yeah, I
coming?
know. We had to cancel your temporary one.
So,
I know. Then
But I have
finally
an
said, "What do you
FMM.
want?" They told me, "What do you want me to do with these clothes?" I'm like, "I don't know when they're coming out." I'm like, "Okay, file them away."
okay, so I have an FMM. I have an account at CI Banco. So how could I get
You're in
this
the list.
number if I don't have,
You're on the list for an
I'm in
RFC.
a pickle.
You need to get a temporary residency or a permanent residency. Right now, there is a program.
Yeah.
on immigration, talking about something else. Right now, it's a program for immigration. You don't
Wait,
have
wait,
to.
well, hold on. Let's not start another topic before we
okay,
all
all right.
acknowledge that the meeting
We're
is
gonna
going to
get
end
cut
in
off.
less than 2 minutes. So why don't we adjourn to the other meet? We got less than a minute. I'm going to start it up and shut this one down. I'll meet you guys over on the other side. We can only do hour-long meetings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And we get started a little earlier than and always finish a little later than our hours. We never have enough meet time. All right. I'm shutting down the other meet. And I think we should all that was a quick transition. Look at that. Almost everybody's here. They must want to listen. They must want to talk to you.
That's funny. They're like, okay.
So Yuya,
Yes.
can I just say, I think you've got a copy of my Permanente.
Yeah, I think so. I do in my office.
So would you put
Yeah,
me
I'll
on that
check it out.
list?
Yeah, I'll check it out as soon
Perfect,
as I get
thank
over
you.
there.
Okay.
So this is information for Paul if he still wants to have a temporary resident in Mexico. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, there is a program right now because of COVID. It's been going on for the last year that you can get your residency up for 4 years.
Oh, really?
But the trick in here is you have to be a multiple you are since how long it's been since you has come to Mexico? 2 years?
20 years.
No.
21.
The last time
How
that-
long you been in the States before
Uh-huh.
coming back to Mexico? Are you
Oh,
in
we
Mexico
got
now,
here-
Paul?
No, we left Mexico last week.
Okay. So
So we will be back in November. So if I had an appointment for November or December,
listen, this they have a program right now, but at least you need to have like 2 entries to Mexico since 2020. How many entries you have to Mexico
oh, several.
since the pandemic
Because we-
started?
We kept going down. I've got at least 3 or 4.
Good. So that's the first requirement, to at least have like 2 or 3, and it had an expire FMM. It has expired FMM. So
Yeah.
what we can do is we can ask them for oh my god, my
An
words are.
extension,
Well,
a
think-
waiver.
Yeah, a waiver in your FMN because of the program I called COVID relief program. That's how it calls. So they
Yeah.
giving like temporary residence to people that they could not renew their FMM because of COVID, because they got sick, because
They got stuck on
they
the
got
other
stuck
side.
on the other side and they couldn't renew their FMM. And so so they have this program. So now there is a sanction for it because you did acquire into delito. How do you say delito?
Delito. It's late, right?
Because it's late, so there is a fee that you have to pay, plus the 4 years that you have to pay, because that's the maximum that they can give you is 4 years. There is not minimum, it's just like 4 years. You cannot do 1, 2, or 3. You need to do 4 years with this program. So there is that fee, but in the end, they do not require bank statements at all. That's the beauty.
Okay, good.
You don't have to prove
Yeah.
your income. And the only thing they do require is you to have a utility bill or anything that you can prove your residency in there, Mexico, that you can
Okay.
prove where you live.
I have a
But
phone
the
bill,
nice thing of this program is that they don't require bank statements. And we can do it within Mexico.
yeah. Okay, so when we go back in November, we
No.
will have new FMMs.
Don't get a new FMM. That is the bad. Let's keep in touch, you and I, because it might end in August, this program.
Yeah, okay. So I'll email you.
Yes, because it might end
in
August, it might end
October.
September, it might not end, it might not end till like December. It is a program.
Okay,
It's like a pilot program to see how it is. She's to benefit some people that they got stuck, in U.S. or in Mexico and they could not travel.
yeah.
So yeah.
So you don't know when that's going to end.
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know. The immigration officer, they don't know when that's gonna. And it could end tomorrow. It could end, December. Which is
Okay, well, in the fall, like in October, I'll notify Scott through WhatsApp or whatever, or email,
yeah.
and we can talk.
Yeah, yeah, and we can talk some more because it is a wonderful program. I mean, I already put a lot of people through it. That
Okay.
they don't have the income to become a permanent or stuff, and they do it right there. We do it right there in Guaymas. We do it right there in Mexico. You don't have to go to a Mexican consulate at all. So,
Oh, good.
but that's the requirement. The requirement says like you need to have your FMM expire. You have to minimum have like two entrance to Mexico that they can, because they're going to check you out in their system and see how many times you guys have been coming into Mexico, and to have a FMM expire and do a bunch of letters and pay minimum of 4 years of residency. So it is at the end. It comes. It might be like around I don't know, $800 each person, but I think it's worth it. I mean, they give it to you for 4 years, the residence.
Yeah, so I can use that going in and out of the country without stopping.
Yes,
I don't have
that's
to stop
correct.
at anything.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's good. It's a really good program. A lot of people have been taking. Some people, they come to me that they I'm sure that they're not gonna have enough income to going into permanent residency, or so I've been telling them about that program. So I've been putting several people through that program, and yeah.
Great.
Quick
Yes.
question. What is your phone number so I can text you and remind you?
Let me pass it to you offline.
Perfect. That'll be perfect.
Okay.
Yes. I've got it. I just don't know whether it's Yuya's or yours.
Okay.
So,
You might
I
have
got
mine,
both.
Judy. I think you
So,
can. Yeah.
I think I do.
In fact, who on screen right now wants to hear from Yuya? Because she'll contact you.
Okay. Judy and Paul.
Judy and Paul. Okay.
All right. I will.
Yuya, real quick, I also sent to Diana Eddy to have her contact you. So watch for that too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I will.
Scott, make sure you use my Gmail address. I have an old. I'm using.
Okay. Great.
It's the one that we use for this meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I got to remind you guys again, we do broadcast this on YouTube, so please don't dox yourself.
Okay, you guys. Nice talking to you. If you have any more questions, let me know.
Bye, Yuya.
Happy to answer them.
Bye, Yuya.
Bye.
Yuya, go have a sleep and have a good summer.
Go have a sleep and have a
we
good
miss-
summer, says Cheryl.
Yuya, we miss you at the office of Loma Del Mar.
And Paul's saying he misses you at the office of Loma Del Mar. All right, I'm showing off my new coffee cup again. I don't know if Bill got to see it. This is what I was brought for my birthday present. Well, that was great, especially because I didn't bring any topics. I just brought my wife.
Well, this is kind of a tech topic. So I got a message that my PayPal account had been charged for 2 orders at chewy.com. So you all probably know that my dog died and I haven't used Chewy in several years because I didn't care for it. So that what had
is
happened
Chewy?
was that
I've never even heard of Chewy.
it's a pet it's like a pet thing.
Okay.
Pet orders, like pet food, pet.
At
This was-
Amazon.
Okay.
So anyway, I called, first of all, I called my credit card company. Then I called PayPal, and then I talked with Chewy. And they were able to cancel one of them, but one of them was already in shipping. Somehow, and you all need to check this to make sure that none of your companies that you deal with have linked your account with your PayPal account.
Yes.
So
Microsoft did this to me. I'm still angry
Yes.
about it because
Yes.
I
Well,
never
Chewy-
authorized that kind of
I know.
purchase, and they just went ahead and did it anyway.
yes. So Chewy, I've canceled my account, supposedly unlinked it, but the weird thing was that the shipping address was my name, and then this other person's name, which I will share, Brian Jensen, and then his address in Portland, Oregon.
Is
This
this somebody you
Brian-
know?
No, this Brian Jensen in Portland, Oregon, when you look up his stuff on Google, it comes up that he's part of this Genco that's incorporated all over the US in all these different little incorporations.
So
Anyway, watch out.
So you think it was a scam using your legitimate information?
I think that it was a scam that went through Chewy.com.
That's what it sounds
And
like.
because my Chewy account was linked with my PayPal account, that's how they were able to do that.
Well, that is, yeah, that's wrong on a number of different levels. The one I can really
Yes.
relate to is the PayPal side of it. I never thought that Microsoft would
Yes.
do a purchase with no authorization with a payment method that was never intended for that kind of purchase.
Right. Right.
And I think that's a real concern these days too, because you get involved with like a Google or an Apple or a Microsoft out there, or Amazon, of course, Amazon is actually the one that doesn't surprise me. If I decide to buy a movie on Amazon, of course they're going to use whatever payment method I have
Right.
on file.
Right.
But the others that I've mentioned, well, maybe Apple's along that line now as well with their movie services. But Microsoft, I would not expect an Xbox payment method to be used to pay for some other store item, and they just went ahead and did it without any authorization.
Well, and
There is a procedure where you can go onto your Google, not Google, but PayPal account and
Right.
determine who has automatic
right.
withdrawal privilege, and you can eliminate them.
Right. But the other thing is the reason PayPal did not flag those transactions is because 2 years ago I had used PayPal for a transaction at Chewy.com.
So when was the last time you were using Chewy.com? What's the time period?
2 years ago.
Wow. So
Yeah.
so 2 years, nothing happening, and then all
Yes.
of a sudden you have this strange charge on your PayPal.
Two charges.
Two charges.
Two. One was for $80, which was an automatic litter box cleaner, and the other one, that order, I was able to get canceled. That was to ship to Florida, and then this other order that was to ship to Portland, Oregon, was for kitty treats in the amount of $20. So PayPal did refund that to my credit card. I have gotten that refund already, and it happened, but it took hours on the phone, hours.
I had something similar. I was looking at my email on Yahoo, and it said that my shipment has been made, and I've looked at the details, and it was for Paul Gregory, but an address in Long Beach, 20 miles away. And so I called, I think it was through Amazon. And I called Amazon. I said, I didn't order this, cancel this. And they did. But the person that got into my account signed me up for 1 million subscriptions on Yahoo so that I wouldn't see the one that said that I was receiving
Sure.
it was like $20 worth of dog food also. And the fraud people said that they order a small amount just to test the system. And if they get that, then they rip you off.
Gotta be vigilant. Ah, here comes Bibiana. My whole family is here. Yay!
Yay! So my Yahoo account is terrible now. I'm still getting subscriptions for things that I want to. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, well, and another thing that'll happen is they'll get into an account like a Yahoo account and they will forward all your mail to like a trash bin or an archive so that you don't it's another method of you not being able to find any notifications. You're trying to change things, trying to change passwords, things like that. And it becomes really cumbersome because your email is forwarding itself out of your view.
That was another thing that had happened because they had gone in and changed my password on Chewy. So I got a new link. I changed it to the computer generated password and I'm on the phone with the Chewy rep and I go back in to log back in with that computer generated, like many, many letters, numbers.
Yeah.
And it had been changed again.
Already
Instantly. So they closed my account and everything, but that says to me that it's internal at Chewy.
Yeah, I mean, either intentionally or not intentionally. It could just be incompetence. Right. It could just, could be bad security at Chewy. But yeah, definitely sounds like it's their issue.
Yes.
Yeah, the lesson is keep track of your automatic payments. I like the idea, Chester's, going into PayPal and reviewing everything that's got automatic payments associated with it. I continually preach, do not use your debit card for anything except taking money out of a bank machine that is attached to a bank that is open at the time you are trying to get money. I think it's the best advice I can give you about, because there's so many of these card scanners now that they're finding on gas pumps. You lose your debit card number and they can drain your bank account so quickly, and you can spend months trying to get that money back as they figure out who's liable for you getting all the money taken out of your bank account. The credit card makes them. I think when you're using a credit card, what you've done is you're buying insurance that you're not being held liable for that theft. That's the reason you're using a credit card in this modern day and age, is because they're taking the onus. You're not. Your debit card is not the same. Your debit card is much more complicated on who's liable for that theft. And you could find yourself out of pocket while you're trying to determine that.
I'm thinking about opening up a second bank account with the same bank and having a small amount in it and using that debit card to purchase gasoline or dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm so that you aren't killed with a theft of the number.
Yeah. I think that the tax you're paying on a credit card, that interest rate, if you're letting it roll over, I mean, the way to go is to have a credit card that you just pay off every month, so it's not costing you money to have it. And then you use that for all your transactions, knowing that if the number gets stolen, you can easily get those wiped off of your record because of the way the credit card industry. They've definitely insured themselves against theft. That's the reason it's so easy for you to use a credit card. But I hold firm with my recommendation with debit cards is they're not to be used for anything but getting cash in your hand.
The problem we have is our debit cards are now credit cards.
Oh yeah.
Both of our Canadian banks have done away with just a debit card. It's got a Visa credit card number attached to it now. I
Right.
told them I did not request this and that I did not want it, and they keep telling me how convenient it is. And yeah,
Well, that's the
about-
reason for my concern is that if you're using your debit card for anything other than taking cash out at the bank, you're running the risk of that number falling into the wrong hands and your bank account getting drained very quickly. The same way they might make fraudulent charges on a credit card, they would be they'd be making fraudulent charges on your bank account, and that's just much more complicated to get that money back. I know that one of our customers in San Carlos had that experience, and it took her months to get her money back into her bank account. And they did, in the end, they decided to give her the money back. If I remember right, it was through Wells Fargo, but it was a whole bunch of hours of Wells Fargo phone calls. And if I remember right, it was at least a month before she had access to that cash again, while they sorted out who was liable for the experience. Whereas if they'd gotten her credit card number, she'd just have to call and say, you got to cancel my credit card. These charges aren't mine. Boom, you're done. You're no longer the onus is not on you with a credit card. The onus is on them because they're trying to sell credit card services. So they've taken all the liability on for themselves.
Well, I don't know if the credit card business has changed, but it used to be if you used a credit card to get cash, they started charging you interest on that loan.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that's definitely still the thing, Paul. Don't use a credit card for cash.
So Cheryl, if you use your credit debit card to get cash out of a machine, they're going to start charging you interest right away.
No, if I use it in an ATM, it's still just my bank card.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I can tell it which bank account and everything. So if I told them to take it out of the credit card part, that would be different. But I have control over telling them what account it comes out of.
It's just all the debit cards have a credit card number associated with them now. And that the other thing, what I said I stand firm on as well, do not use one of these ATM kiosks in a 7-Eleven or an OXXO. If you're going to take cash out of your bank, you should be standing in front of an actual bank using a bank machine during bank hours so that if anything goes wrong, you can walk right into the bank and say, hey, I was just trying to get cash out of your machine and now I've lost my card, or it gave me a receipt and no money. You want to have that bad experience with the officials so that they can immediately start reporting it and dealing with it. And you can't do that in an OXXO. In an OXXO, you have to get an 800 number and call them and tell them about your experience. It's the best protection I can advise you on. What was that, Paul?
Well, the new ATMs there at the gas station, the office is across the parking lot. I don't know if you can tell if it's open or not. I guess you'd have to go open their door and say, I'm going to use your ATM.
Yeah, I feel like using an ATM, one of those kiosks without a bank attached, is like having unprotected sex. You don't know what to expect. And I think everyone should treat it that way. It's an icky place to stick your card because you don't know what's going to happen next. There are so many of these scanners now. They build them so that they look exactly like the credit card scanner, and they double side tape them to gas pumps, and they've got them wired so that they work exactly the same way. So yeah, you might get your money. You might get your gas, but what's really happened is your information has been collected off of that card, and now that card can be compromised.
Well, at least at ARCO, they use a handheld machine, so I assume that that's safe.
Not for a debit card.
Not for a debit
The
card,
whole
no.
point is don't use a debit card unless you're getting cash.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
You can.
No, I use my Costco card at Arco.
Right.
Yeah, as long
That's
as
a
it's
credit card.
as long as it's a credit card, there's less fear because a credit card company has insured themselves against theft. If it's your debit
Okay.
card, you are taking on a large part of that onus just because it's a bank account.
It's like a checkbook.
Exactly. It's like somebody has gotten a hold of your checkbook, except it's 1,000 times faster and easier to use. Well, cool. We are reaching the end of our hour. We've actually gone over it a bit. I want to wrap this up because we have got a 5th of July barbecue that's happening. And that's this evening. That's something that we started in college, was bring your leftovers from the 4th of July over to our place and have the 5th of July barbecue. So we've got that planned. And I need to start helping organize that, and I want to spend some time with my family. Do we have any last minute topics we should talk about until next Tuesday? What about some recommendations? Books, movies, TVs, websites, applications, anything out there that anybody's been using the rest of us should know about?
I don't remember if we did, but Dark Winds is not a bad one to watch.
Dark Winds.
Dark Winds. It's a cop movie of a Navajo police force solving murder, whatever.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a series.
I just started Terminal List on Amazon Prime.
Is Dark Winds
How's it
also
going,
on
Judy?
Prime? I'm thinking it is.
Which?
Dark Winds, is that also on Prime?
I don't know. I just watch it on Stremio.
I watched the first episode of Dark Winds on Amazon last night, but it was released as a free thing. So it's
Oh.
not on Amazon. It's not on Amazon Prime. It's like an Amazon Prime Plus thing or something. So anyways, I watched the first episode, and I've been looking at the Terminal List. Judy, are you enjoying it, or are you?
I'm in the 3rd episode.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's violent, and he doesn't know if he's crazy, but it's good.
I was
like
pleased to
bloody
hear
violent movies.
I was pleased to hear for both of those recommendations because I've been looking at them, just wondering about them. So thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and try them.
And I'm afraid that we have some. I don't know if Scott's going to be able to handle this, but Scott, we have been really trying hard to enjoy the season of Umbrella Academy, but every single episode we watch, we just go, what the, who have they fired from their writing team? Because it's really bad. They changed the characters, the way that they speak, the way that they act, and the premises are just getting so lost that it's yeah. What's the expression, Bill? They jumped the shark.
Oh God, yeah, a long time ago.
I have to disagree. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Looked forward to every episode. Found it
Okay.
lots of fun.
You've started
I'm
the
going
new
to-
series?
I'm sorry.
Who are you talking to?
Did you start the new series of
Oh yeah,
Umbrella?
we're all done. Yeah,
Yeah.
we watched everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm going to go on record and say this is the last season for them.
Oh yeah.
They're
You
not
think
going
so?
to. They're not going to continue this one.
What about Stranger Things? Have you guys followed the last?
No.
So the Stranger Things season 4, they split it into 2 parts. The part similar to what they did with the Ozark. And the second part, the second part is 2 episodes. And the first episode is an hour and a half, and the second episode's 2.5 hours. The second episode is a Stranger Things movie. A long movie, like a long Marvel movie. But we thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
There you go.
I think you've been drinking too much coffee. You have no taste, Scott.
I think it's an age thing because we couldn't get into the umbrella thing, and we have no interest in the stranger thing or whatever it is. So we find as much as we enjoy some of the recommendations Scott has, some are just not right for our age group, I don't think.
Well, Terry, we enjoyed the first, I would say the first season and maybe the second one of Umbrella, but this one it's just, this is the third, right? It's really gone crazy.
Well,
You made a lot further than we did.
the guy that's written it for, I mean, it is based on comic books, so you're probably right about that. You have to appreciate that genre of things to begin with. The guy that's written it for TV apparently proposed to Netflix 4 seasons. And so this is the third season of Umbrella Academy, and we're expecting there to be a fourth season. And it's got such a big following that, and the comic books are still being written. The comic book writers say they'll be writing indefinitely. So there may be more seasons out there, but you guys might be done with it.
I might have one for Terry. Terry, I watched one a while ago. I think it was called Saint Vincent. Let me just see if I can find it.
Is this a movie?
It was a. I think it was a it was a movie, and somebody that's usually comedy. It was in Ghostbusters. Bill Murray. Bill Murray was in it, and it was a very different kind of film for him. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Saint Vincent movie with Bill Murray. Melissa McCarthy, Bill Murray, a young boy. Yeah, I would highly recommend that one. He's a vet and he's got some mental problems, but when you get into it, it's got some. It's a pretty good movie. I'm not
Okay,
going to.
I got one more comment. We are thoroughly enjoying Murderers in the Building season 2.
Oh, I haven't started it yet.
Well, those guys know how to write a series, and they release one a week. So we're sitting here. Is it today, dear, or tomorrow?
Tuesday. Yeah, tonight.
Tuesday.
There'll be the new murder.
We can watch the next episode now, but we wait breathlessly, as we do for the Computer Club, by the way. What was my what did I say this morning, dear? It's Tuesday, Computer Club, yay!
All right, go ahead.
Why Computer Club is special around here is because on Tuesdays we've gotten really into this rut, I guess, but it's a good habit. We get up in the morning, we do our stuff on the computers and all that kind of stuff. We play our games, we do our mind challenges, and then Bill makes for lunch on Tuesdays following the Computer Club a cheese souffle with his special homemade sourdough bread. So I know what my menu is for Tuesdays. It always comes after Computer Club, unlike the tequilas, chilaquiles that came before. But yeah, we're thoroughly enjoying our Tuesday mornings.
It's in the oven, dear.
I have a new recommendation. It is also sci-fi. It's called The Lazarus Project. I'm 3 episodes into it. It is a story about time travel, but the idea is that there are critical things that have been happening in the world that would end the world, and there's a department that is dedicated to resetting time, and they loop back to what they call these points. Like, they can't just go back to a specific time. They choose. There are points throughout time that they can go back to. And so they will. It's very interesting. It's not tongue-in-cheek. It's taken as very, very adult concept sci-fi, where you're dealing with the drama of having lived a life all these decisions being made, all these things happening, and then that critical thing, like maybe it was a nuclear bomb or maybe it was an assassination that cascaded like the butterfly effect, and its end result would be ending the world or ending the country. And so they jolt back to that loop point, and all of those decisions and things that have happened in life now are null and void and must start again. And so this is thing, I mean, this could be for go on for years. In the last episode, something very profound about how people had babies. They one had actually had a child and a relationship with the child, named it, was like this whole developing, growing, and then this critical thing to the world happened, and they had to loop back to that time, that previous point. In the pregnancy, the child, everything was gone. And what became clear is, even though it wasn't just her, it was other people, even though these people got pregnant again, it was not the same child. It was a different timeline. And so the child is not the main focus of the story, but it's this fallout of this story, are things like that happening in it. So it's not a tongue-in-cheek Back to the Future kind of movie. It's dealing with some of the critical fallout of what would happen if we were doing time travel and trying to make changes. The changes they're only allowed to make, like, you can't go back in time to save somebody that you love that died. What it's about is keeping the planet from it's stopping an extinction level event. That's what they're using this time machine. And apparently,
Okay, Scott, is that a series?
it's a series. It's a BBC series, and you have to watch the first 2 episodes, because the first episode gives you no idea what's going on until the very end of the episode. So it's all background and build up. And then to really get the feel for it, like I've shared with you, you have to get into the second episode.
Well, all I can find is a movie, Lazarus Effect. I don't see any. How do you spell Lazarus?
Let me see here. I just had it in front of me. The Lazarus Project is what it's called. It's LAZARUS. And I'm not sure. I'm finding it very interesting, but like I said, the first episode, they give you a little taste at the end. You're like, well, that's enough for me to want to watch the next episode. And so I watched the next one. It was extremely good, and I've just finished the 3rd episode and enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'll continue with it. Well, and you've heard me say before, I'll watch bad sci-fi too. So if it turns into bad sci-fi, I'll probably still keep watching it.
Yeah, I watched it too, Scott, all the way through. But I want you to say nuclear bomb again.
Nuclear bomb.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
No.
No.
Nuclear.
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 No. No, we've only had one president that could say it right, and that was Jimmy Carter, because he had a PhD in nuclear science.
Well, if I knew you were bidding me up to be the next president, I'd be more careful with my pronunciation.
Just pronounce it in Spanish, Scott.
I don't. How do you say it in Spanish? I don't even know how to say it in Spanish.
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
It's
Yeah,
bomba.
nuclear. Bomba. Big bomba.
Bomba muy peligroso. All right, guys.
Okay.
With that in mind, I think we're going to bring this meeting to an end. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club, with many internet problems on my side throughout it. Thank you for being with us. We meet every Tuesday at 10. And until next time, tech on. See you,
Bye-bye.
Cheryl. Thank you. Adios. Adios. Like every week, I am Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and I do remote consulting. If you have some computer needs out there, I might be able to satisfy them. Let me bring solutions to your projects. You can find me, Scott, at internationalcs.net. And if you've enjoyed what we've done here, we've got more of it. We've got a lot more of it. Check out scclub.org. Sorry to say we do have a podcast, but it's about a month behind. So if you want to see anything we've been doing, you might check out our YouTube channel, which you can get links to that stuff from the website. So check that out at scclub.org. Until next Tuesday, everybody out there, check on.